Welcome back, everybody. My name is Mr. Llama, and this is Winning in 40 APM or Less. And we are going to be defending against Sase's TvP, basically three-gate aggression with the Expo behind. So one of the users, I can't remember who it was, maybe it was Kaz, I cannot remember exactly who it was, said, hey, I've been having a lot of trouble when I do a 1-Rax FE into 2 additional barracks. I've been having trouble defending against my Protoss opponent when he goes for the Sase opener, which is basically a tricky sort of 2 guys in the assimilator. He gets an Expo down, but he gets 3 gates out, and he hits with 14 units at around 8 minutes. But even before that, he'll hit around 7, probably a little bit before 7, with like 8 to 11 units, something like that. I think it's like 8 units at 6:30, then at like 7 minutes it's like 11, something like that. A little bit after 6:30 it's like 8. So it's a very strong PvT opener, and a lot of players use that. As I said, Sase was using that. I think Huck was using that as well, or a little variation of it. So definitely a strong opener. And so I'm going to go ahead and showcase kind of as a Terran player how you can kind of deal with that, how you can kind of get a read on that, a scout on that, and help defend it basically. So as I said, it's just going to be a very basic 1-Rax FE. And then with the additional racks and the additional geysers taken pretty much right after I do expand. So I do get the little block right here with the supply depot, and I'd recommend to do this. And a lot of people will build that, cancel it, send the SCV back, and then send another SCV over to finish it up a little bit later when they need. I'm not going to do anything crazy like that. Like I said, all those things are very minor, and this is winning in 40 APM or less, not winning in 300 APM, as you can see my opponent has. So I don't really care about all the little things. There's the mineral boost trick with the acceleration, and there's the supply depot tricks, and there's always little things that you can always do to improve your play. So I do recommend, if you have the APM, go for it. And I could even be doing that right now if I really want to, because this is kind of a chill part of the game. But right now I really just want to focus on making the important decisions, making sure I'm just getting everything correctly and simply, so you can just kind of observe and say, oh, hey, look, he's macroing and doing this build with under 20 APM, so I should be totally fine doing that. So I'm going to go out here, I'm going to drop my expansion down right now, and then I'm going to go ahead and scout with this SCV just very briefly to see his gas. Okay, I see his geysers, and I also see he only has 2 on every assimilator right there, which is indicative of the Sase build, but let's pretend I don't even see that. Let's say I just sent that in and I see 2 gas. I say, okay, 2 gas is a little strange. That means he's going to be having, some sort of tech, or he's going to be getting something out that's a little bit different than the basic 1-gate expand, right? So we'll go ahead and just keep an eye on that. I'll throw down this bunker right here, and now I'll be getting my 2 additional barracks right here. So very basic, very, very easy opener, as you can see. Still not a ton of APM. It's spiked up a tiny bit for production, I suppose, but really not a lot going on. Gonna put my Marines in my bunker here fairly soon. Getting my double geyser right after this. And I mean, everything pretty much standard. He's going to scout in with the Zealot right here, unable to get anywhere, but he will see that I have gone for a fast expand. So that is something that he's going to know. And so that, will, if a player sees you going for the fast expand, this build that they're doing can be a strong build against that, supposing that they're able to do everything correctly and you don't possibly defend it extremely well. So additionally, I'm going to continue adding on Marines, but the difference that I make, once again, is I just throw down this tech lab, and I think this is such a smart play to do because you're not safe, right? I don't know if he's expanded. I don't know if he's thrown down additional gateways right here. I know he's on 2 gas, but he could throw down additional gateways in a robo and go for some 1-base play. I don't really know. And so when in Filter's videos, and that's the one thing that I'm kind of iffy about, he says, oh yeah, no, it's fine, just do tech lab reactor. Well, that kind of leaves you in this slightly vulnerable state right around now when you don't know what he's doing. So I like to kind of wait on that and just get that stim. So I use that 100 gas right there to get stim, and then I can use my next 100 gas if I want on a factory. But I dropped that scan 630. Remember I said it in the ZVT. If you did watch that game, I scan it right here, and what do I see? I see 3 gates with warp gate already done around 6:45. That means he had to have chrono boosted this cyber a couple of times at least. So now I'm going to be a little worried. Okay, so I'm going to throw down a second bunker. I also see he's expanded, so it's not going to be an all-in, and that's the perfect place to scan, by the way. Right in between there, you can sometimes see additional gates, but at the very least, you can see an expand, sometimes units. I mean, it's such a great place to scan, so I would definitely recommend it. So I'm going to start putting these Marines in the bunker and bring a couple SCVs over here, and now he's going to push forward with this attack, but unfortunately he's not going to be able to really do too much. I pull a couple of SCVs, have my Marines right there, and I'm able to just kind of scare him off, and I'll go ahead and back off right there. And very basic, throw down another bunker, make sure I'm not getting supply blocked, so I'm going to throw down more supply depots. I got my factory while that was going on with my after that bunker. I went ahead and grabbed my factory, and now I can grab my starport as well with a reactor, not a tech lab. That was an accident. And so I can start transitioning into that into those medevacs, because those medevacs are so crucial for that 10-minute roughly speaking push, right? So a Protoss player can basically be sitting here doing pressure up until about 10 minutes, and then the game shifts into the Terran's hand, and the Terran says, you know what, it's my turn, I get to go do what I want. So then as a Terran player, I can say, okay, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and make a push now and see if you're getting a third. I'm going to do, I mean, it's basically in your hand. That's your time to really do pressure and to use your advantage before the Protoss can really get all of his robotics facility units out and all that stuff. So I'm sure my opponent has either transitioned into Storm or into a Robo. I'm not quite too worried about it right now. I'm going to go ahead and throw additional barracks down right here because I do want more production out of these, because I'm starting to get a lot of money, of course. So I'm going to throw down a couple more racks, and I'll also be throwing down a third here in a fair amount of time. So I send this factory out here. Reason I do this is simply for the scouting purposes, because I saw his units came from that side. So I see this pylon, and I'll probably send a few units over there pretty soon to go kill that off. And I'm also going to go for double upgrades, actually. So I decide to snag the double upgrades. I think I wait on them, so I think this was an accident. I was supposed to be going for double upgrades right now, but I accidentally forget to get them. But as you can see, that would have been perfect with my money total. I could have just got both upgrades immediately, and that would have been really, really good. So it could have timed up for a little bit later, my next push, but instead I missed it. So unfortunately I'm not going to have that for my next push, but I'm going to go ahead and make this move out. Like I said, 10 minutes, 10:30, that's your time to really go for that big hit right there. That's your time to make a move, and in the meantime you can expand behind it as you see me doing right there. So I really wish I would have got those upgrades. That would have been perfect with my gas usage. So I scout over here. I see he's not taking a third yet, but it looks like he's going to. I drop a scan. I fail at attack moving apparently, so I stim way too many units, and I head over there and kill it off, but at least I get the observer, and my medevacs can now of course heal up all my units. So now I'm going to push over with the remainder of these units at his front. So I see he has Colossus, but I also see he doesn't have very much, so I start going after that Colossus, but I realize I'm not going to chase it all the way up there, so I'm just going to go ahead and start picking away at his units right here. I get the stim, and I'm not doing a ton right now. I basically stimmed and attacked, and I'm just going to be picking off these units right here, and now I'm going to head over and start moving at these probes, try and pick off as many probes as I can until it's time for me to leave, which should be coming up fairly shortly, as now he's pushing out with 2 Colossus, and I say, okay, you know what, it's time to pick up and head out. So I basically just grab all my units, and I just move my medvacs away. And it's pretty simple. In the meantime, back home, I've just been building up with all of these. I've got my third base about to finish. I should be starting these upgrades really, really shortly now. Like I said, that was a blunder on my part before for not starting them. And now I basically just move back and I regroup, and the big thing is I also know that he has Colossus, so all of a sudden I can get Vikings out, and I can get an additional starport to continue Viking production, as well as get medevac production as if I wanted. At this time I could also, since I do have my third base established right here and it's going to be landing fairly shortly, at this time I could be throwing down reactors and tech labs on these barracks if I really felt the need, if I really wanted to do so. And I'm also sending my factory over for scouting. So just kind of very easy, very basic things that I'm doing right here. Just good macro, making sure that I'm just building units all the time, making sure I'm not supply blocked. As you can see, I apparently missed a couple of production cycles right there. But I'm getting out my Vikings, which are very important right now to have my Vikings, because I do see he has these Colossus right here. And I want to check to see, does he have a third base? So I'll be using this factory as well to check that out. So just continuing production, there we go. I've got more Vikings out on the field, and you want to have basically 2-to-1 versus his Colossus in terms of Viking count. Some people are like, oh, you want to have 14 Vikings because they'll one-shot a Colossus. And I mean, sure, that'd be great. But then again, if he's only going to stick to those 3 and then all of a sudden he moves into other stuff, then you have a lot of Vikings that are just chilling there. So personally, I just like having a little bit over a 2-to-1 ratio, so I think I get about 7 Vikings out right here. And with that, I feel safe to push. I see he's trying to take this third. He knows he has to catch up to me. So I'm basically just going to grab my units and head on over there fairly soon. I get this gas as well because you do want to start getting your gas pretty much whenever you take an expansion, because you have mules for the minerals, and gas is great for all of your medevacs and your upgrades and pretty much all those and marauders, anything like that that you do need, Vikings, etc. So making sure that you're always going to be okay on gas is necessary. And here's where I'm going to also be doing a, I'm going to pause really quickly because this is where another person was asking about microing against a Protoss army. And I know his army isn't going to be hugely, humongous, amazingly crazy, all that stuff, but how do you micro the Vikings against his army is definitely a big key point right here. So I use these Vikings to kind of go and scout for his army first, and I'm going to look, where's his army? I saw it wasn't there, so I start heading left, and I see his army's over here, and now I can use these Vikings to just be very, very annoying. And as you'll see, while he moves over here, he knows that my Vikings are right there, but I can now push up with my army, and I just have these on 2, my army on 1, so I just stim and attack with my army, and then I can use my Vikings right here, come out here, and just kill off all these Colossus before they're really able to do damage. And he's really not going to be able to do too much. And as you can see, it was easy to just blow right through his armor right there. I know he wasn't at a crazy death ball because I had done some damage previously before with that 1030 push that I did. But it was a very, very easy victory, as you can see, and his army, his gateway army, is pretty much nothing without those Colossus behind it. So if you can just use these, you just kind of stim and attack in with your large Marine medevac, and I do have the 1-1, there you go. So with your large Marine, Marauder, medevac army right there, and then just kind of use your Vikings to go find those Colossus and focus them down, or at least force them out of the engagement, that'll put you in such a great position. And pretty much an easy victory, as you can see right there. So my name is Mr. Llama. I hope you guys learned something, and I'll see you guys in the next video.